there we go. How's that? There we go. That's good, right? Hi, everybody. It's Merritt from thermal-medics.com. Remember my partner, Hondo. Anyway, just want to make a quick little video about the old AC tune-up. It's getting to be springtime. The phone starts ringing. You can get people on the phone calling you saying they're in your neighborhood typically, which I don't know how they can be all over the place at one time, but they are. And they're offering a $29.95, $19.99, $39.95 tune-up. And it's always a 21 point or 41 point or some odd number tune-up. And then they go through the list of all the things they do. Well, that's great. Tune-ups, it comes from the automotive world, which automatically makes my BS meter kind of peg out a little bit. But let's be honest, your AC isn't a car. It doesn't need to be tuned up. There's no tweaking that we do when we go into your unit to make it work just a little bit better, or timing that we have to change and whatnot. There is something called preventative maintenance, and that's really, really important to do. And that's a lot of the stuff that you can do yourself when it comes to preventative maintenance on your unit. So I don't want to paint use a broad brush to paint all contractors and people that do tune-ups as being bad. But I will say, for the most part, a lot of it is a chance for them to come out and market themselves, to get into your house, to get their name out there, to get their truck parked out front, and look for things wrong with your unit that they can suggest that you ought to replace. Rarely do they ever come in after $29.95 and say that everything's okay, because there's always something you could do, and there's always something you could replace, which I'm sure if you look around your house, there's a million things you could do at any point. That's where I kind of have a problem with this sort of stuff. And they come in with a lot of jargon, a lot of talk, and a lot of words that you probably don't understand. And it sounds really professional sometimes. And so you just give them the go-ahead, and next thing you know, the $29.95 is now a $300, $400, $500 checkup, and now everything's supposed to run perfect. So let's talk about that for a sec. Your unit, I've worked on stuff that's brand new, all the way up to things that are 25 to 30 years old. Some of those original components on the 25 and 30-year-old unit run just fine. I don't walk out to a unit and see a rusty fan motor that operates perfectly and suggest that the owner change it just because it looks like crap, because it runs just fine. And a lot of these units will continue to run for years and years and years, even though they don't look that good. So I would hold off on replacing, this is me personally, parts such as that until they actually do fail. Now, there's a lot of things you can do preventive maintenance-wise that a tech should come out every couple of years, maybe to look over the unit. But to be honest with you, for the most part, things just kind of fail. When they fail quickly, and you'll know so because they're going to break. And you could replace a ton of stuff, but it's still going to happen. So let's go through that real quick. First of all, the tune-up process or preventive maintenance, they usually come out in the springtime. So they want to come out March, April, May, and it's not that hot out. So there's not a big load on the unit, and that's kind of a problem, because for ACs to be checked out properly, there needs to be a load. They need to be running on a hot day when there actually is a demand for cold air inside the house. I can check the freon level in your AC unit using my manifold gauges, which are these things right here. But if I go ahead and do that on a day when it's 75 degrees outside and it's 75 degrees inside your house, they're not going to give me a proper reading unless it's hot out, unless there's a load on it. So I might read a proper freon level in your unit when on a 75-degree day, but when it's 110 and humid in July in Phoenix, it's going to be undercharged, or maybe a small leak in there. So in other words, enough freon will work just fine in the system to keep you cool March, April, May, even June, July, August. You call back, say that thing's not cooling properly, come out, there's a freon issue. So the timing of doing this is kind of important. I like to do preventive maintenance and check up on people's units actually when it's hot outside. So I ask them if they want me to come out, if I can come out on hot days. So that's really important. We talked about the old parts, about things you don't have to change out there. But preventive maintenance-wise, there's a lot of things that you, the homeowner, can do. And you'll know when things start to kind of go south on your unit because there's a couple things to look out for. One is the temperature of the air that comes out of the supply vent and it goes back into the return. In AC, the rule of thumb is a 20-degree split. So 20-degree difference between the air that comes out of your register and the air that goes back in at the return to be cooled off again. So if it's 80 degrees at the return air, which is where your air filter is, you should have about 60 degrees blowing out at the register. That's a rule of thumb. So if you have your thermostat set to 78 in the summertime and you called me because it's 80, 81 in the house, you've got it set to 78, the thing runs all day, it's not cooling down, then I come out and everything's running properly. One of the first things I'm looking at is the Freon charge. Is there a small leak in the system? Has it been serviced? What's going on with it? And that can be one of the first signs that things are starting to go south. So that split is what I'm looking for. So you want to bring that split down to about 20 degrees. So if you do want to measure that temperature, there's a lot of things you can do to use it. I use a laser infrared thermometer. You can use any sort of measuring tool that will measure that return air temperature against the supply air temperature, and you're looking for about 20-degree split. You can also clean the outdoor coil. If you have a heat pump and you run the heat during the wintertime, there's a defrost mode that will actually, when it builds ice on the outdoor coil, will melt that ice and shed the water off of the coil, along with all the dust and dirt and grime. But if you have a straight cool unit, in other words, if you have gas and then you turn on your air conditioning in the summertime, the outdoor coil can become dirty, grass can go around it, it can be obstructed and whatnot. It can cause higher pressures in the unit. It's going to restrict the airflow across that condensing coil outside. So it's a good idea to clean that once in a while. You can do it yourself. You can do it. There's tons of videos and DIY stuff out there on the web on that, so I'm not going to do a whole video on it. But basically the key is just be careful when using pressured water from your hose and whatnot. You want to blow from the inside out of the coils, and you don't want to bend the coils. And you want power off to the unit while you're doing it. That's another one. So if you're interested in cleaning the indoor coil, that is the evaporator coil that's inside the house, that's a little more in depth. Not that it can't be done, and people do it all the time, and it's something I need to walk through step by step. If you can always call me or send me an email at the website here on Thermal Medics, and I'll be happy to help out with that. Meanwhile, stay tuned for some more info and help. We're going to put some more out there. Hondo and I are going to get out in the field and start doing a little bit of work and get outside so you can start seeing some things close up. If you have any special requests, please email or call and let me know. Otherwise, thanks for tuning in, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye. Hondo, sit, come here.